This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. This week we concentrated on the stern of the boat, the sugar scoops.
Right, and as you can see, we're sitting up on one right now, but this is a little bit of a house of cards because we haven't attached these top decks yet, but we're going to get to that the following week. But let's show you what we accomplished on these sterns this week. So we'll get right to it. After another big 4-day rainstorm, getting tired of those. We're back at the lot here on Monday, and the good news is that we're supposed to rain here Monday and Tuesday, but now they've revised the estimate, and as you can see, we've got blue skies. So we're at the lot instead of working in the garage because it's not going to rain today. And so we're just looking at what we got to clean up again here for the first few hours. We got Lake Erie over here, so that's just going to have to drain on its own. And then in the boat, upstairs, we got our typical water here, but it's not quite as much. Like Brian found some water over on the Nav Station desk. I must have got in through the front windows. And then back downstairs here, our favorite place to collect water is in this compartment over here. And once again, it's got a little less this time, about half as much. I'd say that's probably about 25, 30 gallons. So we'll drain that out into these and dump them out at the gutter out there. So not quite as bad as it's been. I would say right now, just looking at this, that we've probably got about an hour's worth of cleanup here. Nothing inside the holes here. You can't see very well, but looks like we've got one compartment. You can't see it, but that compartment over there is full.
Yeah.
These are all empty, but that one is full. So that's about 30 gallons. All right, well, I'm going to get the hoses out and start siphoning. Time is 9:30. All right, well, it took an hour and 20 minutes, so a little longer than I thought. We did find a little bit more water, and that's probably why. But here, I'll show you upstairs now. So these bilges are all bailed out, both sides. Floor is, other than being damp, cleaned out. This compartment cleaned out. In here, we had a little water on the desk. It got in through here and over here, and then from here it ran down onto the desk. This stuff ran down in the tube and collected down into a little bucket we had. And then the water from here went down the stairs and filled up this compartment down there, which we've now pumped out. So lots of rain. And on this side, there was the same thing. Water came in over this corner, came down, and filled up this compartment right here. But nothing else. All the rest of it was all dry. So we just had the stairway going down into each side as water in here. And the water in the back cockpit, it comes off of the deck running down here, and then it just runs in here. So although it's fairly level, it's not 100% level. So some of it runs off into here, some of it runs off over there. Anyway, got most of that done, and I've opened up the sides of the boat on both sides so that we have some airflow to try to start drying this thing out. And now I'm going to take down the this back one right here. I'm going to drop this tarp in the back again so we can get some airflow going through the boat, dry it out. Time for a test fit of the new box. Almost. We got to take this out. A little snug here. Yeah, okay, back out. Let's get a grinder. Closer, but a little bit more to go. Closer. Okay. This is what I really want to see is when I'm sitting down in here. Right there. That's what I thought. So you're against the back everywhere or not? No.
No. We're about a quarter out.
Alright, we have to figure out what's holding that up. Alright, so we need to grind off in the center there some? And down the corners, or?
Getting on that side.
This side?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the back.
Alright, up. We got a little few adjustments we're going to have to make. Our issue is that it's perfectly flush along the bottom, so that's great. It's just too long. So we're just marking a line on it, and we'll just take this down and refill the end again and get this flush with this. The next thing we have to check is the height here. We got to make sure that the piece of deck that goes on here and the top of this match up. And before we glue the top on, because if it's too tall, we can always take a little off right now. But once we glue that top on, we're stuck with that height. So we're going to test that right now. I'm going to look in the plan, see what thickness this deck piece is, and then we'll get a little offcut of the same piece and put it on here and check the height of this. So now we've got the box in. We decided to go ahead and finish off this whole section and seal these compartments, put the decks on, get this thing completely done. So we're busy cutting in the walls that go in. This isn't the rudder. This is the walls. The rudder box sits inside of these. And this is the transom deck here that we're working on. We have to notch that all over here so that it fits around all that properly. So we're nearly there. We got a little adjustment to make on that. Then we'll do the same thing on the piece that goes over here. Then we're going to put this chine in, and there's a little chine on this side as well. We'll put those in, and then we can actually glue down all of these decks onto here and seal these up permanently. Yesterday we did a lot of cutting and prepping and such for building the stern and such. But today we're going to go into epoxy mode. So we've got some of the top decks for the 2 sugar scoops there that were cored out, and we're going to fill those. This is the other side of those 2 sugar scoop decks. We've got the rudder sides over there, the walls for the rudder box. The rudder box itself needs some new filling on the end because we shortened it, so we're going to have to redo that. And once we get all of these different pieces done, we're going to clear them off as much as we can, clear this table, and then we're going to start putting another coat of epoxy onto our diesel tank lids, because we got to get back to that. The rain kind of threw us off there, but now that we're back on track. So it's been too many days, of course, so we're going to have to sand all of them, unfortunately, but we'll give them a light sanding so that it'll bond again, and then we'll get back on to putting on 3 more coats of resin. Okay, let's just start with that edge right there. I'm going to hold it up.
Or just push it off the side.
Nice to get these rudder boxes and stern sugar scoops and all that all done and set up. But we do have a little conundrum that we have to solve, which is we have these little mechanisms here that mount to the top of the rudder, and as the steering turns, it is turning the rudder. And then this little piece on top here comes off, and this is at the deck level here, and so there's an Allen there that comes off, but you can put it on when you want to do manual steering if you ever had to with a tiller. So this is the tiller mount, but that comes off and this becomes deck level here. But this piece has to penetrate through about here. And that's going to put a hole through right there, and this sticks into this area behind here so that it can be turned to turn the rudder. But that leaves a hole in this bulkhead where water could get in. So we're considering several possibilities of how we're going to solve that issue. And one of them is, you don't worry about it, it goes into the bilge pumps it out, because this particular bilge is separate from the rest of the boat. No water that goes in here could ever get into the rest of the boat. This is a contained compartment. So I could put a bilge pump in there and just shove it overboard if it ever gets in there. That's the simplest possibility. But there are others. I can build a box in the inside of there around that and have that box drain out the side of the boat, and it makes for gravity to take that water out. And only if it got super overwhelmed at the top part would it ever get into that bilge. The rest of the time gravity would take it out. That requires me to build a special box and put a gravity hose to take it out the side of the boat. So that's another one. Third option is to put some kind of rubber boot on there that attaches to the arm and flexes as it moves. And it doesn't move all that much, but that is going to flex and flex and flex every time you have steering going on. And when you cross an ocean, the autopilot will make over 1 million corrections on that one ocean crossing. And that's 1 million times it's flexing that piece of rubber, and most likely that's going to wear out really fast. So if any rest of you have any ideas about that, throw them out there. So back onto my rudder hole issue there. I will be checking with Schoening and seeing what their recommendation is for that issue. I'm just coming up with some plans of my own. And I can make those suggestions to them, see what they think of any of them. But certainly we'll check with them and find out what they recommend for that. Okay, time to give these things a sand so that we can get a good bond for the next layer. We've sanded all of these. So got 4 of them there, we've got 5 here, and we've got 3 over there. So 12 lids for both the starboard and port side. So we're gonna get these all rolled right now. And so Brian's gonna mix up a large batch of epoxy, and then we're gonna roll this quickly. We'd like to get 1 coat done today and hopefully 2 tomorrow, because tomorrow morning we'll put in as soon as we get here, we'll put a coat down, and then I'm hoping that by the time we leave, we can get the next coat on. We'll see. Have our slightly resin-rich epoxy ready to go here. Okay, so we got all of these setting up with their next 3rd layer on. That means we got 2 layers to go, and we're gonna hopefully get both of those layers tomorrow. If we start early for the first one, we hope that they'll set up enough that we'll get the final coat in. That's because we take Thursdays off, and it'll be more than 24 hours if we don't, if we have to put that coat on. Which means that if it doesn't set up in time Wednesday, I'll have to come down Thursday and put that coat on. There I go, getting bleeped yet again. I keep saying bad words. It's early in the morning and on a Wednesday, and we're gonna get the penultimate layer onto all of our diesel tank tops. And then this afternoon, we'll hope to put the ultimate layer on, the last one. And so we've got a few sitting over there, and I've got 8 of them over here. So we'll get some epoxy mixed up. It's a little early and a little cold, but it's within the epoxy range of temperature. It's just, that stuff's probably pretty thick over there, but it'll work. And it'll warm up and set up over time here. So we're gonna get that rolled on. So we got our computer monitors here, which are going to go one here and one right next to it here. That's on the right side of the nav station over there. But the way these monitors work, there's only a small part that actually sticks out on the back. So the rest of this is going to be flat up against there, so we don't need to cut out the full size of the monitor. So we've been measuring all that. So we've got a little opening here. We're going to cut this one out, test the monitor. If we like it, then we'll cut the second one the same way over here. And then we'll have to figure out how we're going to attach the monitor. We might put some little corner pieces that we buy or something in there. We'll see. If not, double-sided tape. Moment of truth. Huh. Exactly how that's supposed to go. All right. I like it. Okay, right where that one comes to, and right where that one comes to. Perfect. Okay. A very long monitor. Excellent. So this is where those two monitors sit. One right there and one right there. The idea was to, when you're doing video editing and stuff, to sit to this side of the desk, and you're in front of the window, in front of the hatch that opens for airflow, in front of the monitors. And if you want to work on other things like the radio, you want to sit and do the radio or some chart plotter or something, that's all over here. And you can sit to this side, and you'll again have a window and a hatch here with airflow on this side. So we just didn't want to set the monitors up with this mullion straight in your face while you're sitting here. So you sit here when you're doing editing. You'll be looking forward right through there. Time to glue in the walls for our rudder casing. You're going to go in here. And we're going to do, this is the starboard side, but we're going to do the port right after this. So we'll get both of these done. And we don't need to put a level on that or anything, because as long as we match up the bottom edge here and this vertical edge here, that's going to do yaw, pitch, and roll for us. So that's where it goes. All right, we're all set. This one is in as well. So let these set up, then we'll start tabbing them. Start putting on the outside pieces, and then get the tops down on them and seal them up. There we are at the end of the day, and we've got our kick-up rudder box in here. There's the walls, and that's the rudder box in. So it's all starting to fit very nicely in there. And there'll be a pivot point about where that white dot is right there that goes through. We still have to round the back corner there because this has to be able to pivot. So that corner has to get rounded right there. And Brian's over here right now filling an edge of the deck that goes right here, so that that's getting ready to go on. And then over on the other side here on the port, we also have the kick-up rudder box sitting in there. And that's all looking correct as well. We did have a slight modification we had to make right there to get this all level, but we fixed that. And now that deck piece is ready to go in as well. And this piece right here is the side that goes in along here. And we've got that all angled because it comes up and then it has to flatten out here for the deck to sit on. And so that's ready to go. We just had to fill this end right here, which he just took care of. And we're about to call this a day once we get this all finished up. Okay, so what we're doing is drilling out our holes here for our valves for the diesel tank. These will be fitting in here like so. I'm not gonna press it all the way down because of the rubber seal there. They'll feeding in here like this, and we have our diesel out, diesel back in again, out and in, and then a vent line. And then this is a fill tube goes up to the top deck there. And now what we have to do is core these out, fill them with epoxy, sand them perfectly smooth so that we get a nice seal around the rubber portion of this. And then as you tighten up the bolts here, it squeezes out the rubber, makes it tight, and gets a seal. Now we're only using 2 of these on the forward diesel tanks. And the stern diesel tanks, we decided to do a completely different route there. We're putting our own fuel ins and outs in a vent, but we're not having a fill tube there because we're only going to fill the large tank up forward. And these are only half the size of those. And then if we want to fill this tank, we'll just pump diesel from the forward tank back with our standard fuel polishing pump that we have, and then refill that forward tank again. So we don't have to have that way another big valve on here, another one, another deck one. We can have one fill tube up to the deck, and then we can fill both tanks by filling the big one and just pumping a little back into the smaller ones. So Brian's going to start working on dremeling these holes out so that we can fill them up now. Now, while Brian's working on dremeling those holes out, I've got our other diesel lids over here, and we need to start working on the hatch, which is our inspection port that goes into the tops of these, so that we can open that up without taking apart that entire valve I just showed you with the in, out, and vent and fill tubes, all that stuff. We don't want to have to remove all that to inspect the diesel tank. So we put in our own diesel tank lids that we can take off and on, but there's some work we have to do on these to make those work. Continuing our work on the diesel tank lids, we are going to be putting in some ports, and we can't put those ports through foam. So what we're going to do is take this G10 plate right here, core out this down to the last layer of fiberglass and resin, and then insert this down into this, glue it in, and now the drill and tap the tops of this, and we can have our ports for fuel in, fuel out, and vent all into this little G10 plate here. That's why we ran that test I showed you in another video, where we drilled and tapped this little piece of G10 just to test this. But now that that works, we're going to actually put 3 of those ports in here. Like I say, fuel in, fuel out, and vent. So that goes right there. Now I got to core this. So there we go. We got our G10 plate ready to be glued. Won't glue it yet, but it's ready. The next thing we're going to do is drill 3 holes through this, all the way through. Now, if you'll notice, not going through the bottom here, and but when we drill these 3 holes, we'll go all the way through. Once we got those holes drilled properly, we'll take this back out, tap all 3 of these holes, and then we can glue this G10 plate into place. Putting on the first chine, that's just 1 meter or 1 yard's worth here. And so Brian's got a big bead along the boat here. So we need to put this piece of chine on because we want to put the decks on here. And so we have to get both sides done so we get these decks on. Now we can't put the chine all the way down the whole boat right now because we're still working on the daggerboard casings going in, and the walls for the heads, and the sole for the hallway, and we can't put that on until all that's done. Great, on to the other side. Well, it's here on Saturday morning. We got Jeff and Brian over here. It's cold, so we wanted to get right to some epoxy work, so we're having to heat up the epoxy a little bit. So we're just warming it up before we put the hardener in. And then we're going to finish these tank inspections, putting the basalt layer on them. And hopefully this afternoon we can put on the first layer of just resin coating, because we got to get 5 on these again. And then we're going to get back to working on these sugar scoops today, because we got a lot of things to do here. We got to get this little panel put on the side right here on both of them. And we also have to work on the box that's going to be sitting here that's going to allow the rod to come through here, and my little 3D printed device that's going to be sitting on each side that locks it in but yet lets it release as well under the right amount of pressure. We'll also have to look into getting this mechanism mounted in here. Now that we know where these go, we can start working on putting the actual little mechanism in. We have to drill a hole through and put it in and mount it in there. So lots of things to do on these. We've got our 4 inspection ports, and this is one of the tank lids, and we just had to fix it. There was a issue with it, so we just redid it. And since we're having to do the 5 layers on these 4 inspection ports anyway, we can fix this at the same time, so I won't add any more time onto us. Well, I have time to start tabbing all this stuff in, so I'll get myself a bead in here.
What's the size on that tall one?
30. 35 is the long one. It's on the bottom step there. 24. Okay, and now 12 wide. Okay, so got this one done as well. I've got it blocked off so the shade there, because it'll set up too fast if I don't keep it in shade. All right, so we got our tabs done behind in here. Up in here, we only had to do peel ply up in the upper portion because this part down from here down is sealed permanently, so no peel ply needed. Over on this side, we got the same thing. We got all of our tabs around here, peel ply up there, and all of our tabs down in here. Again, this plastic is to block the sunlight from hitting that over there. Starting to get that stuff tabbed in.
As you can see, we got a lot of work done on the sugar scoops. We'll continue on next week and hopefully get them all sealed up.
Right, because these decks are just sitting on here right now. But we're pretty far along. We've got a little more work to go with getting the kick-up rudder locking mechanisms 3D printed part in. We got that part of the way, but we got to glue all that in. And so lots of little bits to go, but it's coming along, and these 2 stern scoops are going to be finished up pretty soon. So that means next week we're also going to do a little field trip where we're going to go and start getting the actual steering bar that goes all the way across the stern of this boat fabricated for us, so that we can get this all in and working. And once that bar's in and these are in, we can run the blocks and such that bring the steering, and we'll be able to mount permanently the console that we built already with the steering wheel and get that all working, so we'll be able to actually turn that wheel and start turning our rudders fairly soon here. It all depends how fast the fabricators can make that steering arm for us. So we'll see you next week for all that fun.
Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you and your comments. Keep them coming. And thank you also to our patrons listed here. We appreciate you and could not do this project without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And we'll see you next week for more boat building.
Bye.